Hello, this is Thursday, June 29th, 1995, and as part of the 50th anniversary celebration of the end of World War II, we are continuing the process of interviewing Scriba veterans. Today we have with us Don Kocher, who served in World War II in the Air Force. Mark?
Good morning, Mr. Kocher. We're wondering, where did you go to school and where were you born?
Well, I was born on the corner of Kocher Road and 104 East. In those days it was called United Street. United Street Road.
Okay.
But that was 3 years ago. So, born there and at home. And then I went to school at the Madison District. I think it was District number 2. 2 or 4, but I think it was 2. 4? Okay. I went there, but you know more about it than I do. Well, anyway, I went there for a year. Then we moved into Oswego and went to Oak Hill. And we had a bus driver from Mexico named Moot, Mr. Moot, drove this bus and he carried us, well, it must have been about 12 or 14 kids in the school. Then we went up there for a year, then we moved into Fisher Park. And we had Mr. Gould run his. Well, first off, he took us in taxis, and then he finally got a bus because there were more school districts from Scriba were going into Oswego at that time. And that must have been 1928 or 29. So that's where I got most of my education, there in the high school. And then went out to the normal school for a couple of years, 2.5, where I got drafted, or not drafted, I enlisted in the Army.
And when did you enlist in the Army? What year was that?
September 18th, 1942.
Okay.
But since I was in college, they deferred me until February 43.
Okay. All right. And then, so when did you first, where did you first go?
Well, I went from in February of 43, I went down to Atlantic City for a month, where we had our basic training, learn how to march and drill and all that stuff. But I already knew that because I'd spent about a year and a half in the New York State Guard at the Armory in Oswego.
Okay.
After National Guard left, they organized the State Guard.
Okay.
So was this was not Company D then?
No, not Company D. I've forgotten what company it was, but it wasn't D. But that was kind of fun. Anyway, I knew the basics of military life, how to drill and march and order guys around. But in the State Guard, I got to be the company clerk because I could write.
Okay.
And I also knew typing.
Uh-huh.
So that advanced me to corporal right quick like.
Okay.
It was kind of fun. We didn't have much to do, but it was fun.
Uh-huh. And then from there? Yeah.
Well, to get back to Atlantic City, I stayed
Okay.
there for about a month, drilling and firing guns and machine guns, or submachine guns, Thompson, I guess it was. And that was kind of fun too. Then we went up to, I had to go to a CTD, I think they call it. Anyway, it was a college training detachment, that's it, up in Maine, at Colby College. I was up there for about a month, learning, navigation and first aid and all kinds of good stuff that I didn't have before.
Okay. Okay.
Then from there I went down to Nashville, Tennessee, which was a place where they decided whether you're going to be a pilot or a navigator or a bombardier. And it was a lot of fun. It was tests all the time for about 2 weeks. It was a great deal like a penny arcade. I enjoyed it. It was fun taking all these tests.
No, then these were not all written tests.
No, they were
Depth and all this sort of stuff.
You'd sit there in a chair and you had a control stick like an airplane in your hand. You had to put out the lights that the instructor put on by moving the stick back forward. And it was all timed. It had to be quick.
Okay. Okay.
Because when you got to flying, you did have to be quick. That was quite fun. Then from there I went to, where the heck was it? Alabama, anyway. It was a big training school for pre-flight.
So you passed the ones for the pilots. You passed all the tests.
Oh yeah,
for
I got to
pilot.
be I got designated pilot.
Now, was this Mobile, Alabama? Or?
No, that's where my memory's gone.
That happens to all of us.
It was a big enough place, I don't remember. Probably come back to me. Anyway, there we had we learned, we had to learn radio, you know, that dash system for 15 words a minute, which was really tough.
Hmm.
And they didn't send words, they just sent a bunch of letters, so you couldn't anticipate.
Okay.
And also we learned some more about navigation and a lot about aviation mechanics, which isn't going to do us any good at 20,000 feet in the air. You get out and fix the thing.
Yeah.
And we had a good weather course. It was 2 months of that. Then we went on to Bennettsville in South Carolina for primary training. We flew the BT-17. It was a two-winged job, biplane, paper or canvas covered. And you sat out there in the wind. It was fun. It was a nice airplane. The first flight was something else.
Did you fly with was it double steering when you?
Oh yeah, we had 2 seats. The instructor was in the front and the student in the back in that one. And then after, I think it was about 8 hours, they turned me loose and solo.
Okay.
And boy, that was a turning point in my life.
Yeah.
I got that thing up in the air, and I said, well, I did this much anyway, if I never do any more. Because I had wanted to fly all my life. I used to sit up in where my house is now, as a cow pasture at the time, and watch the anti-aircraft in the summer. They fired over Smith's Beach, I guess they call it now. And they had a tow plane. You know the airport road out here, that's why they call it that, because that plane used to land out on a farm out there.
Okay.
At least I think that's why they called it that. There's never an airport on it, but the Army had this flat field that they landed on. I used to watch that guy fly, and boy, that looked like fun. And it was. So from Bennettsville, after 2 months there, we went on to Sumter in South Carolina. It's still a fighter base there now. But anyway, at that time it was what we call basic training, where you had another 2 months of flying a little more horsepower, a little higher powered plane. And I can't remember much about what we did there, but we just learned a lot of flying. Then we went on to advance, where we got in the AT-6, which is a real beautiful plane. That was fun flying. And there we learned formation and quite a lot of fighter tactics, as much as that airplane would do. It was only about 800 horsepower, but it was fun. Then went from there to Perry in Florida, where we flew P-40s.
Okay.
That was a Warhawk built in Buffalo. There was a real exchange from the AT-6 to the P-40, because that had 1,100 horse, I think. And it had been really moved. And now I'm the president of the P-40 Pilots Association, which is international. We got pilots from the RAF and the Chinese Air Force. As a matter of fact, this watch was given to me by the Chinese Air Force Veterans Association. Got my name on it the way they do it, the last name first.
Okay.
Last couple of years ago, went over to Taiwan, and we, what, 35 or so of us pilots went over there. Because they flew P-40.
Okay.
Well, anyway, that's about it. Then,
When you got in the P-40s, you did some more maneuvers. You learned how to.
oh yeah, we learned to do all kinds of stuff in that. It was really combat. It was called a replacement training unit, where we learned how to fight the Germans and whoever we were going to. We didn't know where we were going. And we did a lot of strafing and bombing and all kinds of stuff with that P-40. It was kind of fun too.
So you did get gunnery practice in?
Oh yeah, we got a great deal of it. Matter of fact, the one thing I enjoyed the most, we had 1,000 rounds a month of skeet shooting, just to learn line of flight and lead.
Oh, that sounds like...
That was fun. I enjoyed that greatly. I finally got so I could shoot all 25 of them.
Wow. No, have you done any skeet shooting
Skeet
lately?
shooting?
Skeet shooting, yeah.
No, but
Oh, no.
Brian and Brad, my 2 boys, do a lot of it down there, and I went down and fired a couple, and I thought I better quit while I was ahead, because I got both of them.
Marvelous. Now, to go back a little bit, now, you actually soloed after 8 hours of
Yeah.
instruction. That's marvelous.
Well, most of them were 8 to 10. but
I'm
Yeah.
sure the requirements are for more than that these days.
I imagine so. But they were in kind of a hurry to get us over there.
Mhm.
Still now, we had lots of practice. I had about 100 hours in the P-40 learning to fly the fighter tactics.
Mhm.
That was all in Florida.
And what year was it when you were in finally got in the P-40s?
Oh, that was June of 1944.
Okay.
June and July, when I was flying P-40, because I remember them talking about D-Day.
Okay.
They had a big A-frame thing out there with a notice on it, D-Day today, or something like that.
So you had quite a bit of training in between when you enlisted and.
Oh, yeah. We had about a year, let me see, February to July, August of next year.
Okay.
We went over there well prepared.
Yeah, yeah. And so when did you finally go over?
September 18th, 1944, I went left overseas. It's funny, September 18th was, all these magical things happened to me. I enlisted then, sent overseas then.
Uh-huh.
I transferred from England to Germany in September 18th, 1945. So that was a kind of a magical date.
Yeah. So now, what was it like when you finally were overseas? What were you?
Okay. I got over there about 4 days trip. Went on a real fast boat, all by itself.
Okay.
We didn't have any escorts.
What kind of boat was that?
Oh, it wasn't the Queen Mary. It was next door to it. It was
Elizabeth?
no.
No?
It wasn't either of the Queen.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Okay.
I don't know, but I can't remember. It was a big ship anyway. And it was fast.
Okay.
It was only 4 days getting over there.
Wow.
Then we went to a replacement training unit at Kocher in England, where we had another, well, this is where we got introduced to the Mustang, P-51. It was a great deal better than the P-40. It had more horsepower, better engine, quite a lot better maneuverability, faster, and more fun. And it was the best plane that they had in the air at the time, in those days. And most of us felt really great that we were selected to fly the thing. The other plane they had going at that time was a P-47, big heavy thing that was mostly for ground work. But anyway, we had probably 15 or 20 hours in the Mustang up there at Coxhill. Then we were shipped down to our group, our company, where we were going to fly our combat with. And it was the 357th Fighter Group, and 4 of us were the pretty good friends. We'd been through quite a lot of flying training together. And we all got in the same squadron, 364th. There were 3 squadrons in a group.
Okay.
And they had, let's see, 20 planes per squadron, but they only used 16 of them. Usually they had a spare flight. You had to have a flight off once in a while. I mean, you had to have a few days off occasionally.
Right.
So then I got down there in October and did my first combat flight in November. This was quite an experience.
And tell us a little bit about that. Where was it over? Where did you?
Well,
do
we
that
went
first
to
flight?
Germany. I can't remember I should have brought my list. I got a list of all the missions I flew. But I flew with a squadron commander, and he was a good guy. He was an ace. And an ace had to have 5 victories in the air. And he had 7 or 8 swastikas painted on the side of his aircraft, and I felt pretty safe flying with him. Although he was the leader, we were out front, but that's this guy, pretty good. And gee whiz, we got over Germany, and we were escorting bombers. We were up about 28,000 feet. The bombers were 25 or 6 or something like that. And our objective was to keep the German fighters away from them. And that day I guess I was lucky we didn't see any. But these guys were calling in things around the area there, and I could never see any of it. Because I was too new the first day out, and I was more concentrated on flying and keeping a good formation, I guess. So anyway, I got back safely and fine, and felt good about that. The next day was a little better. Every day was more fun. But it was almost always escorting bombers.
About how many hours per week would you escort bombers for?
Well, it was hard to tell because the weather was so bad that year. It was the worst winter they'd had in 50 years, I think. And
Okay.
so we didn't always go every day in a week, but the average mission was probably 4 hours
Mhm.
for us. So we were pretty fast. We'd go 250, 300 miles an hour.
Okay.
And the bombers were, what, 120 or 30 or 40 or something, maybe 200.
Okay.
They were really slow. We'd hear them going out before daylight, before they woke us up to go. And then we'd meet them over Holland or someplace.
Mhm. Mhm. And about how many missions would you fly per week?
Oh, well, probably 3 or 4, 5 days maybe.
Mhm.
Because there was, as I say, that was one of the worst winters they had in many years.
Mhm.
We were on, well, we'd take off into the clouds and get up above where the sun was out and it was bright and nice up there, mostly. And then we'd go over there, they'd drop their bombs, we'd bring them back.
Mhm.
Now, how many missions did you participate in?
I had
overall?
43 all together.
Okay, now, did you ever find the Germans?
Oh yeah, we found the Germans, and they found us, one or the other. Yeah, but it was funny, you'd be out there, and be on say, the right side, on the right side of the bomber stream. And some of the other squadrons was on the other side and one up above. We had 3 of us out there, 3 squadrons. Those guys on the other side would get into a big dogfight, we wouldn't see anything.
Hmm.
Sometimes the upper ones did. I never got into only a couple of good dogfights, that's what they call them.
Uh-huh.
And I never got a shot at a German until the 19th of April of *45. We caught up with a ME-262, which was a German jet, one of the first jet, the only jet they had in the air in those days. And it was a good 100 miles an hour faster than we were. And we'd see them all the time, but you couldn't catch them.
Yeah.
They would, I remember one day following one of the 262s, and they was shooting at the bombers, and I couldn't catch him. I could see I knew he was shooting because there was smoke rings coming out of his cannon.
Uh-huh.
And I could see the flashes of the bombers firing back at him. I almost got up to him, but he saw me coming and he pulled up. They go up like this, and boy, they were gone.
Mhm.
They were full of fun too. Once in a while, they'd find one sitting on we had four-man flight formation. And sometimes you'd see a 5th guy out there. It was one of them.
Really?
On the outer wing. They never did shoot at anybody in my squad, in my group. I think they probably had orders to get the bombers
Yeah.
away from the home cities.
Okay. Okay.
This the one guy on the 19th of April, I caught up with him, close enough to get some hits on him anyway. I could see a few strikes. We had armor-piercing incendiaries,
Mhm.
and when they hit, they'd flash,
Okay.
so you could pick it up.
Mhm.
And we had a movie camera out there who was aiming with the guns, and they'd take pictures of everything you shot, or shot at. Anyway, I got a credit for that, the damaged one. That was it. And then, but I think I wrecked my engine doing it, because the next day it quit on me over there. I was at about 10 miles east of Hanover. Luckily, it was our own territory.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
this is one of the most memorable things that happened to me. I guess being a farm boy, I had a lot of adventures, but this was, I had to land it without wheels because it was a plowed field, and I didn't want it to flip it upside down. The
Mhm.
wheels would catch in the dirt and flip it.
Mhm.
It was kind of a rough landing, but I got down fine, got out of it. A couple guys came out of the woods, and I thought they were probably German soldiers, because I wasn't sure whether I was which side of the line I was at.
Yeah.
Well, I had a 45 there, but I wasn't about to tackle the whole German army with that. So these 2 guys came up and they said something about the aircraft was kaput. And I agreed with them, I guess it was. Whatever that was.
Yeah.
So I asked them where the American army was, or American soldiers. In English, of course, because I didn't have any German. Well, they pointed down across the field toward the road. And she was, a couple of seconds later, a gray truck came up. Oh my God, gray German, that's not American. Well, it was all dusty. It wasn't American. They were combat engineers. They took me back to their base there, and they gave me lunch. And then the guy wanted to know if I wanted to see the German airfield. It was just a little ways over, which I hadn't seen from the air. It was far enough away. So I said, sure. So he took me down there. And on the way, he stopped to check some engineers that were building a bridge, but they were all, somebody shot them all. There were 4 of them there. So he went back and got somebody to pick them up. Then we went on to the German airfield. And there was a German jet bomber in there, a big one. Find out later it was an Arado 234. But anyway, I was looking at that, and they couldn't get it out of there. It wasn't damaged, but they dropped the roof of the hangar around it.
Oh.
Somebody had to move the whole hangar to get it. Anyway, in the desk, either that or a filing cabinet, I can't remember which one, I found about 5 canisters, about yay big around, of films of that plane's action, how it handled. So I asked the major who took me over there, I asked him if any intelligence agents had been in there looking it over. He said no. So I took them with me. Well, I took them back to England. But to get back to England, these guys took me to a field at Hanover, where there was a lot of C-47 cargo planes, troop carriers. And they were taking repatriated prisoners back to, well, I was supposed to send them home. And there was 7 or 8 C-47s there. These guys said, well, all I can do is take you here. You got to figure out if you can bum a ride with one of those guys. So I walked down to somebody who looked like he might be a boss. The colonel, I think, and I asked him if there's any chance of getting a ride back to where I could get to England. He says, I don't know. Walk down and ask the pilots. So I went down the line. I finally found one that didn't have a navigator. He said, sure, you can ride. So I got back to Rouen in France. I stayed there overnight with a whole bunch of PWs, prisoners of war. And next day, there was an airplane going to England. It belonged to General Phillips, who was the commander of the the carriers. And he was not in the plane, but they gave me a ride in it with my 5 canisters of film and my parachute. And it was boy, it was a nice plane. It had easy chairs in there and a desk and probably a radio for the guy. I don't know what all. But anyway, they took me back to a place just outside of London, and it was an Army Air Force base, and they called my own base up there. They sent a guy down to pick me up, and I got back home 2 days.
With your film?
Yeah, with the film.
With the film.
I gave that to our intelligence officer. And I had a few other little souvenirs I picked up over there that I kept myself.
There, right?
And he sent them away, and he said he was going to get me a Bronze Star, but I never heard anything more about that. So.
Did you ever find out the film was pretty useful for the intelligence?
I don't know. No, I never heard anything about it. I ought to write him and ask him what he ever did. He's a judge in California, probably retired now. But
Okay. Yeah.
no, I never did know what happened to them.
Fascinating.
But that was kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the 21st or 2nd of April I got back, and my airplane, of course, was gone over in Germany.
Yeah.
So they gave me a couple of weeks off our R&R, and I went up to visit the girl that eventually became my wife. She and her family took me in for, I don't know, 10 days, I guess. I got back on VE Day. Back to the base.
Okay.
Of course, I thought I had to go there because my order said I had to be back that day. But I guess they wouldn't have missed me if I hadn't come back for 2 or 3 days later. But I went through London, and boy, that was a mob scene there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
It
sure.
was really great.
Uh-huh.
But when I got back, I think I was the only sober one on the base.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for about 3 days, we were grounded, no flying. And then they finally got me a new airplane, a new one. And after I'd flown it twice, I guess. And somebody took it up one night and bailed out of it.
I know.
So the brand new airplane was gone, but he wasn't hurt, which was the main thing. So then they got another one.
Third one now, right?
Yeah. But the war was all over. All we're doing now is training new guys that came in and teaching them a little bit about air-to-ground gunnery and whatever. Then that group went over to Germany to be in the occupation forces. And they transferred me out because I had enough hours to time in to go home to another group. This group was going to fly their Mustangs back to the States and then go over to Japan. Well, it was all right, except that the Mustangs wouldn't reach any land. They were supposed to go to Greenland, Iceland, but they didn't have the range to do that. They flagged about 300 miles of making it.
Mhm.
So we were very happy with that thing, but they finally came up with some, they call them ferry tanks that would hang on the bomb shackles up in the wing,
Mhm.
which would give us range enough to get there. Then all I had to worry about was a single engine lasting that long.
Better detail on it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the war ended before they got into that. They were getting a bunch of new aircraft. They shipped them all over there, and then they didn't want them anymore, the
Mhm.
new ones, so we were going to fly them back home. But the war ended, and we didn't have to do that.
Do you remember where you were on VJ Day?
Yeah, I was at a place called Raiden in England,
Mhm.
and we had a pretty good celebration there that day. They fired off a lot of red flares. And I was the officer of the day. Couldn't get into any of the activities of that. I just had to make sure that the place was well guarded and all that kind of stuff. And about the bars usually closed. The officers' club usually closed at 11 or 12 at night. I went over to the officers' club to see if they were going to close. It was part of my duty.
Mhm.
And the colonel was in there. Colonel Duncan was the commander of the base at the time. And I said, "What are we going to do about this?" He said, "Oh, the hell with it. The war's over. Let's forget it." So they stayed open as long as they wanted to. I don't know what they did. I went back to my duties of driving around a Jeep. So that's why I spent VJ Day.
Uh,
But it was all right. It was a good day.
when among your squadron do you think morale was the highest? Was it one of those 2 days, or was it other times?
Well, after we'd had our fighter group had a pretty good record. We had knocked down 616 aircraft
Wow.
in less than a year.
Wow.
So when they come back from a big battle where they knocked, well, on the 14th of January 45, they got into a heck of a fight. I didn't make it. My airplane wasn't running very well, and I turned back. As it turned out, I could have stayed with them. But anyway, about 20 minutes after I left them, they got into they ran up with 300 German aircraft coming. There was 40 some of us.
Wow.
So they jumped them. They just went right down through them, in the middle of them, and they shot down, that day they shot down 53 and a half aircraft. They shared the half with another squadron.
Wow.
And they lost 3. But
Wow.
3 came back.
Hmm.
So that was the biggest day, and then I think that night we really had a celebration there.
Mhm. You made it down through all those 300 of them? And
Yeah, and then they came back up around and did it again.
Wow.
And then they kept it up until they all disappeared.
Mhm. When do you think morale was the lowest?
I don't know. Whatever was very low. I don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't know about that.
Uh,
We used to go to the officers' club every night to have at least one beer. Didn't want too much because you were flying that day.
Mhm.
But there was always happy times over there.
mhm.
I don't think the morale was very low ever when I was with the group.
Mhm.
Now, when did you return to the States?
Well, on September 18th, as I said before, for 45, they sent me over to Germany
Mhm.
with a group that was coming home quicker, they thought. I don't know if it was any quicker or not, but we messed around over there with nothing to do. And they had a L5, which was a artillery spotting aircraft there, the only thing we could fly. And we were supposed to get 4 hours a month in for make flying pay.
Mhm.
So we flew that thing around a little bit.
Now, where in Germany was this?
This was at a place called Fritzlar, which was near, I was a little ways out of Frankfurt.
Mhm.
And I've been back there since. Well, anyway, to get back to your question, I got home about December 15th of 45.
Okay.
I just messed around Germany and with nothing to do. It was really boring.
Mhm.
The villages we were in, it was a fairly small village. It wasn't damaged much except that the British had blown a dam in the Ruhr Valley and the water had flooded the place.
Mhm.
And it was recovered from the flood when we were there, but you can still see the high water marks.
Mhm.
Some of the corners were knocked off the buildings by tanks that had gone through and there wasn't room enough to make it. But the building gave.
Okay.
And people there were, well, some of them were friendly and some of them would turn their back and walk off when they walked down the street. Couldn't blame them.
Mhm.
But they had a thing they called the Hitler Youth that was kind of dangerous. They would string piano wire across the street roads and jeeps and trucks was just over the dash, you know, where
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
it hit the guy. So they put a big piece up right out in front of them to cut that wire.
Uh-huh.
And we weren't supposed to be out after dark on account of them. Again, we couldn't carry a weapon with us because they would take it away. So we really weren't having much fun there.
Yeah, yeah.
We got back to Fort Dix on around the 15th of December, 45, and then from there came home.
Okay.
Back to Germany, was it, I guess, what did you think was, what can you tell was the mood of the Germans there, the German citizens?
Well, I imagine they were glad the war was done with because they were really taking a beating.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't too happy with having the American army around there.
Mm-hmm.
Although some of them were, the bars were open for
Mhm.
business. And the wineries were.
Did, I guess for the American soldiers that were there, did the soldiers sometimes even outnumber the number of citizens in some
Oh,
cities?
probably, yeah. The place I was at, I don't know if they did or not, they might have, but there was a big camp of what they call DPs then, DPs, displaced persons.
Okay.
There were people that the Germans had taken in for,
Slave labor, really.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were all nice guys, nice people, but they were kept in this camp, and we used to mingle with them a little. Well, they were mostly Polish, and you know, you couldn't talk with them.
Okay.
They didn't have
Okay.
English,
Okay.
but they were good folks.
There were people who could not return home because the Russians had moved into Eastern Europe.
Oh yeah,
Or
that's right.
for the
They had
most
no
part.
way of getting back,
Okay.
and probably didn't know if their home was still there.
Okay. I see.
I don't know how long they stayed there because we left before. Well, we left in the end of November.
Mm-hmm. When you were in Europe, what kind of news did you hear about the war elsewhere?
Oh, we had a war room, they called it, which had flashes from all over the world, told them what was going on in the Pacific. It might have been a week or two late
Okay.
when we heard about it.
Mhm.
There was always maps and pictures of bombers and stuff in that war room.
How about any news from home? What kind of news from home did you receive?
Well, my mother used to write about once a week, which was pretty good.
Yep.
And mostly I just got news about Scribe and the farm and what was going on there. And once in a while I'd hear, she'd tell me about somebody who that was in the paper that had done something spectacular in the war.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, his father used to run a sawmill over here.
Not Walker.
No, it's still, the sawmill's still going. Well, anyways, he told me when he got shot down.
Okay.
He writes in the newspaper now about sports, sport fishing mostly.
Oh.
Yeah, I think of his name.
Okay.
Hey, see, we have a common thing here,
Yeah.
forgetting.
All right. A lot of that. Well, that was mostly what I got from home was news like that,
Mm-hmm.
what the weather was and
Okay.
all that. Of course, when I first joined the Air Force, my dad wrote me off. He said he'd never be back. I fooled him. I got back.
Now, did you run into anybody from Scribe while you were?
No, I never met anybody from Scribe, but in Germany I did meet Rod McCormick from Oswego.
Oh, okay.
He's the only one I ever saw from anywhere. Well, I met a kid from Buffalo once, but no, never met up with anybody anywhere near here.
Mm-hmm.
So after you were discharged, you came back to Scribe?
Well, actually, I never discharged. I stayed in the reserve.
Oh, it was reserve, okay.
Yeah, but I came back to Scribe, yeah. And went to work on the family farm there for a while. Decided that wasn't getting us anywhere. So I went down to Oswego Printing Company. I've been there ever since.
Okay.
It was about 49, I think I went there.
Now, somehow I have a feeling that you, on occasion, went back to England.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we went back there several times, and after I retired from the Air Force, I could fly with transports or tankers that were going over there, free.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All I had to do was get down there. There was space available, they call it. But you wait your turn, but you eventually got there.
Hmm.
The price was right, about $1.50 a piece for a dinner on board.
Okay.
And we flew to England 7 or 8 times like that, and then we finally found out we could go from Griffiths in the tankers they had down here.
Mhm.
And we went to Germany and England and Italy, Spain. We went several times like that.
Did you ever go back and visit some of the places where any of the cities you'd have been in during the war?
Well, yeah, we toured England pretty much. We covered all of that. And then
Okay.
we got out to Germany and went to Frankfurt. And I never did get to Fritzlar. I think that was the name of the place I was stationed there.
Mhm.
Because I didn't want to drive on those foolish Germans. Well,
Okay.
they go 80 or 90 miles an hour down the road. And
Sure.
so we took bus tours around,
Okay.
which were they were cheaper because we got them from the Air Force.
Now, when were you married?
1947, January,
Okay.
she came over here.
Oh, all right, I didn't realize.
Yeah, we didn't want to get married during the war because we thought, what the heck, this might not be the right thing to do.
Mhm.
We were waiting to see what happens. So many got married and, just because there was a woman there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's true.
And we didn't think that was the way to do it.
Mhm.
So we waited a couple of years. Turned out fine.
Well, yes, I would guess so.
You've been a scribe ever since then.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got 2 boys, you know, Brian
Mhm.
and his brother Brad. He's kind of the black sheep of the family.
Okay.
Now, who is the Kocher for Kocher Road? Is that your?
Well, I think that was probably named that because it split the farm in half.
Oh, okay.
We're both sides of the road there.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know of any other reason they would name it for that because the Kochers only got there in 1871. Haven't been there very long.
Well, long enough.
Yeah. So that's the only reason I could think of they ever named it that. Nowhere to the middle of the farm. Now it's County Road 63.
I don't like the numbers in place of names.
I know it.
It erases a lot of history.
When my mother died, there was some guy, subscriber came down with the ambulance and he says they changed the road from your name to your age. Well, that wasn't quite right because I was born in 63 at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Well, do you have any other questions?
I don't think so. Do you have anything more you'd want to add?
I don't know. I was real happy when the war ended, I tell you that. Although it was kind of fun, some of it. I loved flying. I really enjoyed that.
Mhm.
And most of the time it was nothing but watching the airplanes and going back and forth over the bombers like this.
Mhm.
Now, in the reserve, did you continue flying?
No, we didn't have any aircraft. I should have gotten in the National Guard up at Syracuse with
Mhm.
Arnie Holiday.
Oh, yes.
He was there. He was get to be a colonel, I think. Well, anyway, I got in the reserve instead. And I had no flying. But we did a lot of schoolwork. We had several courses of meteorology. I'm pretty near as good as Bob Sykes. And then the last thing I did was I was designated to be a commanding officer of a decontamination unit in Watertown for the B-52s from Griffiths. If they got
Oh.
zapped by atomic
Oh, yes.
fallout or anything.
Mhm.
We learned how to take care of that. It was kind of dumb because the runway up at Watertown wasn't big enough for a B-52 to land on in the first place.
Well, it is a problem.
They wouldn't let them back at Griffiths if they were really contaminated.
Okay.
And, well, that was about it. We learned how to do that. I wound up flying as a major.
Very good.
You did say you were the president of this international.
Oh yeah, the P-40
Club,
pilot,
the
P-40 Warhawk Pilots Association.
Do you get together annually?
Every year, yeah. We went to Taiwan 2 years ago. And last year we were in Colorado Springs, and this year we're going to be in Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay. And do a lot of people usually show up to these?
Well, yeah, we have at least 100 or 150.
Okay.
Of course, they're all getting so darn old now that they don't look like they could make it.
Okay.
Every time I walk in, I say, well, how the hell do we ever win the war with these guys?
Yeah.
Of course, I look just like the rest of them, I suppose.
No, it's a case of everyone else aging, though, if you've ever
Yeah, it
noticed
is.
that.
Yeah.
You never feel that old yourself.
No, that's true. I mean, I'm sure as we look at this film, we're going to be absolutely amazed at how we look.
Yeah, you're probably right. Although I got a video camera, I don't get in it much because I'm usually using it. The only way they know I went on the trip was because the camera's there.
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
Well, thank you very much, Tad, for coming
Well,
in and being
yeah.
interviewed.
Thanks.
And if we may borrow the photograph, we'll make a copy of that.